Tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart. Tell me that you understand. 'Cause you are the one for me. If you just believe, 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 believe. Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart. Tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart. Tell me that you understand. 'Cause you are the one for me. If you just believe. If you just believe. If you just believe. If you just believe. Listen to your heart. 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 Tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart. Tell me that you understand. 'Cause you are the one for me. If you just believe. 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 Believe. Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart. Tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart. Tell me that you understand. 'Cause you are the one for me. If you just believe. If you just believe. If you just believe. If you just believe. Listen to your heart. Tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart. Tell me that you understand. 'Cause you are the one for me. If you just believe. 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 Believe. Listen to your heart, heart.
Yes. Evening, people. Welcome back to another stream. I know we said we would stream on Tuesday or Wednesday, but life caught up with me. I've been doing exams, and I'm finished my exams now, and I did quite well, I believe. So fingers crossed I got the results I wanted. But it's time to return our attention to Manchester City Football Club and our transfer news. And of course, City are back taking to the field tomorrow afternoon, 1 o'clock UK time. For those of you who are from the UK, I can't tell it the time zones and all that kind of thing around the world, but I'm sure wherever you're from, you can figure it out for yourselves. We take on our sister club in Girona, and kind of like it's sort of pre-season or pre-second half of the season, if you like, warm-up game. And we've already seen that Mahrez will start, Haaland will start. There's a lot to look forward to, you know what I mean? Like, even though it's a game that doesn't mean anything, I'm looking forward to it. But there's a lot to talk about in the stream. You've got myself and Joe tonight. Rebel is off on a work party. I hope he's enjoying himself. And we're going to talk about the transfer news, which is, of course, the guy you see on screen right now beside us, standing like that, wearing the red of Arsenal. It is their beloved star boy, Bukayo Saka, a player I have a lot of time for. Hang on, let me turn this fucking radiator off. It's like a sauna in here now. Oh, don't be bragging to Joe before we went live about how good this radiator is. But it's making my nose go all stuffy and feel weird. Yeah, listen, we're going to talk about Saka. We're going to talk about Bellingham again, because there's been some more updates. Like I said, as things unfold in regards to these transfers, we're just going to keep talking about it because it's what we like to do. We're not geniuses. We're not transfer gurus. We just like to speculate, have a chat, see what you lot are saying in the chat, give your thoughts, give your opinions. And that's what it's all about, people. That's what football's about, having fun, enjoying yourself, and having conversation with good people. And all of you who come into our streams regularly, we know you're good people, so we appreciate you for coming in. Now, before we get straight into it, as always, house rules, people, make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. It helps the channel grow. Every time you hit the like button, it helps YouTube push it out. We get more people in here. We get closer to hitting 5K. Turn on the notification bell. All that good stuff, people. Get involved in the community. It's for you. It's for us. Let's have a good laugh together. Let's see who we've got in the building before we break it down and talk about some of the news regarding Bukayo Saka. We got Renners as always. I haven't seen Renners in a while. Good to see you, my friend. I hope you're doing well. I hope the family is doing well. Darsh Meta says, yes, sorry for not being on the streams lately. Schoolwork is a pain in the backside. Good to see everyone in the stream. Good to see you again, my friend Darsh. I hope school is going well for you and it works out well. Sean Fogarty, good to see you, my friend. Says, yes, D1 Millie as always. My man, D1 Millie. My bros, Hugh, Dara, Joe. Let's hit that like button. Exactly, people. Listen to D1. He knows what he's talking about. Sid Snot, I assume, is an Arsenal fan. Good to see you, Sid. He says, not a chance of Saka coming, more chance of Leroy coming back. Oh, sorry, he's a City fan. Excuse me, Sid. I apologize. Not a chance of Saka coming, more chance of Leroy coming back, and that is highly unlikely. I tell you what, Sid, I would be more than happy to have Leroy Sané back. I know it kind of ended on semi-bad terms, if you like, but Leroy was one of those players I just fell in love with. Leroy was absolutely magic. Like, for those of you who were fortunate enough to watch Leroy live in the flesh, I saw him loads of times over in the Etihad and stuff. He was just an absolute pleasure to watch. Leroy Sané. I've got a soft spot for Leroy. It broke my heart when he left because he's one of those players I just thought he was special, man. But yeah, I get what you're saying, Sid. Luke in the chat, yes, lads, good to see you. Renner says, hit the like button. Sid says, girl, I apologize, Sid. I didn't mean to mislabel you as a gooner. I know you're a top blue now. My bad. Unun Septium, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Man, oh man, if we had wingers again. I assume you're a City fan, Unun, let me know. And Sean says, Sané finish versus Liverpool. Yeah, cold finish, Sean. But listen, we're gonna talk about Saka because I love Saka. I love Saka. I can't hide my love. I really can't. I know he plays for another club, but he's like, you know, when you get asked people like, if you had to pick a player from another club, or is there any players from rival clubs that you like, who is it? And immediately, because of your tribalism, you go, no, I don't like any of them. You know, fuck them. No, man. I think even Joe will agree with me. Like, there's something really likable about Bukayo Saka. You know, his personality, and you know, we've seen his development process. Him, you know, growing into a mature player and getting better as time has gone on. You know, at Arsenal, it was always kind of Saka and Smith Rowe. They're the two gems, the two diamonds that have come up through the system, and they're going to be the star boys of the first team at one point. And it seems like Saka has overtaken Smith Rowe, and Smith Rowe's been a bit left behind. But I still rate Smith Rowe. I like Smith Rowe, but I don't know, he's had injuries, hasn't he? And it hasn't worked out for him. But Saka has had that beautiful story of just excelling through the youth system, becoming a first team player, cementing his position, and now becoming a household name and a sort of club icon, if you like. They love him at the Emirates. So I have a lot of time for Saka. And listen, it will be a difficult deal. It'll be a very difficult deal to do. Let us know your thoughts in the chat on Saka to City. Where does he fit in? Where does he play? Is it a deal that is it possible, Joe, I suppose? Let's get started. Bukayo Saka. First of all, tell me what you think of him. Before we talk about the possibility of him ever wearing the blue of Manchester City, tell me what you think of him as a player. He's had a great World Cup.
I just want to highlight once again, for the second stream running, Hugh Murray, famous Grealish arse licker, if you will, has said he would take a left-hand-sided player at the club.
Saka is, in my head, a right-sided option.
Oh, you said Sané before.
Sané, no, listen, Sané, I'm saying that knowing it's not going to happen, but he could also shine Grealish's boots.
Okay. I'd love Saka. It's not impossible, because I don't think anything in football is impossible. You're talking about a game that can throw up any measure of upsets, and of course that can happen in transfers as well. I mean, if you were to have been told 3 or 4 years ago that Raheem Sterling had leave to go to Chelsea, I don't think anyone would have believed it. So anything's possible. I feel like, in terms of him as a player, he's got the versatility that Pep likes. Pep likes a player who can play in multiple positions. He could play off the left, he could play off the right, he could even play as a left back, which, I mean, given Pep's reputation for playing players at left back, it wouldn't surprise me if Saka would turn out at left back. But again, I don't think this deal is impossible. He's got a year and a half left on his contract. I know he's rumoured to sign a new one. But again, year and a half left. I said this on a previous stream. I can't remember how long ago that you've got to test these waters because you never know if you can turn his head. If Arsenal, if their title, right, they are top of the league. Obviously, Arsenal fans will let you know they are top of the league. If their title race sort of, now that Jesus is injured, kind of goes downhill and they end up falling back a little bit and they get knocked out of cup competitions, will Saka look at that and go, well, I'm not winning trophies, I want to go win trophies? That's a thing that a lot of footballers will obviously go for glory, but I don't know, man. Saka seems Arsenal through and through. He feels like nothing's going to stop him from playing for Arsenal until the day he retires. So I feel it's unlikely. It's not impossible. But I'd love it. I'd absolutely love it because we don't have proper out-and-out wingers. I mean, who is it who said before? It was Unum Septium said, man, oh man, if we have wingers again, we haven't had proper wingers for ages. Mahrez is the only one that we really have that you can say is a true winger, out-and-out winger. And he hasn't been great this season. Like, Grealish isn't your typical winger, neither's Foden. Neither's Bernardo, who's played out on the wing either. So to have someone who would be a bit more familiar with that sort of role, I'd love to have, but I do have my doubts. Maybe it's something that I think I raised this point as well on that same stream of, it might throw his head off. You might see a decline in Saka's performances if he's linked with a move away from Arsenal, because that is something that can easily get into a player's head. And I don't think he's ever been linked to, well, he's been linked with us before, but I don't think in this magnitude of halfway through a season off the back of a successful international tournament, City want him. The words, they're going to try and actually get him is wild.
It is wild. D1, if there is time, can we talk about the 110 million bid for Gvardiol? That's in the plan. That's in the plan for this stream, D1. We're going to talk about Gvardiol. Joe has the graphic. We're going to talk about Gvardiol. There's plenty to talk about. But I want to keep talking about Saka. As of today, I think it was Graham Bailey, who, from my knowledge, is a generally reliable enough journalist. You lot can tell me what you think. As always, I always say to you people, you can tell us about the reliability scale and who's reliable, who's not, because I can't make my own mind up. There's so many of them out there. I know the heavy hitters, the big dog journalists, your Jack Gons and Mike Keegans and this kind of thing. But as far as the rest of them go, I can't tell you who's more reliable than the other. So you can let me know. But Graham Bailey says, the wing position is an area Manchester City will look to strengthen next summer. And obviously in previous days or this week, we've been told that City are looking to make a double swoop of English talent. I think I saw a tweet today about that. If I can find it, where is it? Yeah, Man City's Graham Bailey again. Man City's, I think it's the same report. Man City's future transfer plans involve trying to sign Bukayo Saka and Jude Bellingham. So, like Joe said, seeing the words "trying to sign Bukayo Saka," that's new for us. Like, I think we read in the last 2 years, as far back as 2 years, a few times, that Pep admires Saka, Manchester City executives admire Saka, they like him, blah 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 blah. But now we're seeing from Graham Bailey, who, to my knowledge, is relatively reliable. Like I said, the words "trying to sign Bukayo Saka." This is new. This is a new level, up from admiring or like the player kind of thing. So I think this is big. Transfer plans involve trying to sign Saka and Bellingham. Can you imagine a double swoop of raiding Dortmund once again for their best player and raiding Arsenal once again for their best player? I mean, over the years since the takeover, anyway, we've had quite a few gooners, haven't we? We've had Nasri, Zanya, Adebayor, who else? I know I'm missing. Clichy. There's definitely a couple more that slipped my mind. We've had quite a few Arsenal players, and the Arsenal fans. Turker said to me on a stream recently, or maybe it was off camera. He said to me, "You've taken our reject," or something like that, and I said, "Well, they've still come to us and won more trophies at City than they won
title winners, mate. Title winners. Come on."
How could they be rejects if they're title winners at City and they won nothing at Arsenal or maybe an FA Cup or whatever? So listen, Saka, like I said, it will be a difficult one. And someone who's sit in the chat says, if Arsenal win the league, he stays. But if they don't, ... I don't think, in all honesty, right, I tried to be as objective and as real with you as possible, people. I don't try to be like some other YouTubers where I sit here and say, we need to get him, make a mad thumbnail, or we're going to get him. We need Saka, get Saka, start a big hype train. No, I try to keep it as real with you people as possible. And I think that an attempt to get Saka next summer or next calendar year, I don't see it. I don't see it being in any way successful. I don't think City will altogether shut down their interest or to say they won't make an attempt or maybe throw in a slight bid, because I know that Saka's contract situation is still slightly up in the air. But with that said, I don't see Saka looking to leave Arsenal right now. Like Joe said, he's Arsenal through and through. He's gone through the academy. He's clearly quite happy there. His career's got to a fantastic point and he's got to a fantastic profile level thanks to Arsenal Football Club. So I don't think he'd be ready to turn his back on that just yet while they're going through a really good patch. There's clearly a lot of good things happening at Arsenal Football Club right now. You know, at board level, they're making some good decisions that they're finally happy with the fans, and you know they're bringing in some good players. Arteta has the team playing well. They're top of the league. Yada yada yada. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he'd throw that away just yet or turn his back on that club just yet to come to us. I think I think his short-term plan right now is probably to sign an extension with Arsenal and try to bring success to Arsenal Football Club. I think all those players at Arsenal right now are looking at a situation like this. You know, they're the first really good Arsenal team in quite a while. You could say 10, 15, 20 years if you want to go back as far as the Henry and Bergkamp days. They could be the first team in a long time to bring Arsenal Football Club genuine success. And as an Arsenal player through and through, as an Arsenal fan through and through, I'd say Saka loves that idea. The same way Mbappe probably loves the idea of being the first Champions League winner, the face of the first Champions League winning team for PSG ever. You know, it's these kind of boyhood things that you dream of. But as Sid says, but if they don't, ... Like I said, not so much for this season specifically, but in the next 2-3 seasons, if Arsenal fail to win the major honours in world football, you know, like at least one Premier League, at least a crack at the Champions League, or, you know, a couple of cups, obvious progression, you know, silverware consistently, or at least consistently challenging for the top honours in European football regularly, you can start to see Saka saying, I don't want to become like a Harry Kane. You know, no disrespect to Harry Kane. I rate him really highly. You know how I feel about Harry Kane. But Saka won't want to be one of these great club players who scored loads of goals, but one sweet fuck all. I mean, that would be my worst nightmare as a player. You know, there's been so many of them over the years who fantastic players who won absolutely nothing. And you want to really, really love your club to sacrifice silverware when you know you're good enough to play for a team that wins silverware just to stay at your boyhood club. I mean, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of situation. It's a tough one, but I think Saka is an ambitious guy, and like I said, I think in 2-3 years down the line, if they haven't won silverware, when he's still only 24, 25, maybe even 26, like when we signed Jack Grealish, I think Grealish was 26 when we signed him. Then he might start to say, "Listen, your career, you only get one career; it could end any moment. Maybe it's time I go to a club like City, who have the infrastructure and everything set up and in place for me to win silverware, because you never know. Your career could end at any moment. You may only have 5-6 years left, and you want to get the most out of it. You want to etch your name into football history. You want to have the medals to show your kids and your grandkids. You want the pundits to talk about you when you're retired, not just as someone who scored loads of goals or was a great cult hero. Someone who's a winner. I think it's something he'll consider. And you know, you said, Joe, about players leaving their boyhood clubs, and I get that. I do get that. But our £100 million man is a prime example of that. Jack Grealish was clearly a level above the rest of his Aston Villa team. There's nobody more Brummy and Villa through and through than Jack Grealish. You all know this. This is common knowledge. But he left. He turned his back on his boyhood club because he realised you only get one career, and he won silverware. And look, within 12 months, 12 months, he's a Premier League winner, and he's scoring goals in the Champions League, and he's playing Champions League, and you know, semi-finals and whatnot, buzzing, happy days. I think it's something that Saka will definitely, it'll be in his mind, but not short term. Like I said, listen, 20 people in the building, thank you all for coming in. Just do me a favor, make sure you smash the like button. It's free to do that. Big thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and you've got the notification bell turned on, and give us your thoughts on the Bukayo Saka situation, because it's one that it's an interesting one to speculate on. Lucas says, just yet, you can't even say that. Something has to go really wrong before he would want to go to City. That's not just yet. That's what I'm saying, Lucas. I don't think it's just yet. I don't think anything's gone wrong for him to want to leave. I don't think he wants to leave Arsenal, and that's me being honest. I don't think he wants to leave. I think you will only see him want to leave when it gets to a situation like he's 25, 26, and there's no sign of Arsenal taking that next step. You know, past beyond just qualifying for the Champions League every year. You know, silverware talk. I don't know, Joe. Any thoughts?
I don't think it's definitely not a short-term thing. I think it's literally just throw something out there, throw it into the wild that we want to sign him, because you never know. Again, it could turn his head. His contract's running out. It might mean that Arsenal have to pay over the odds on his contract, or he might sign a shorter term contract. Maybe he was going to sign a 5-year. Maybe that turns into a 4-year if there's interest shown from elsewhere, because he's wary of that. It's just the little things like that it doesn't really harm you if you do or if you don't really, but it's worth kind of just throwing the idea out there because you never know what might happen. I think he'll be content at staying at Arsenal because I don't think anyone expected them to win the league or even challenge for the league this season. They're performing way above expectations. I think the expectations was Champions League football, which, barring an absolutely monumental collapse, they will get Champions League football, which I think he'll be satisfied with at this stage in his career, playing regular Champions League football. I think that's what he'll be looking for. So, again, like with the silverware thing, he already has 2 trophies to his name at Arsenal. It's an FA Cup, Community Shield, if you want to count it. So, really one, because no one really cares about the Community Shield. But, winners' medals are winners. Listen, winners' medals are winners' medals. It's more than Harry Kane's got. So, he's already upped in there. Full disrespect intended there. I don't think it's an issue short term. I definitely don't think it's a short term thing. It's a thing that City are going, we are interested. If you ever feel like Arsenal aren't meeting your expectations, we will take you. We will welcome you with open arms. But I do feel like it's just a matter of when rather than if with his new contract. I feel like that will get done. I don't think there's anything stopping it. He's nailed on to start every single game for Arsenal. They'll love that. Again, they're going to be in the Champions League next season, barring one of the biggest collapses I've ever seen. So again, he'll appreciate that at that time in his career. And I think that's the thing that he'll be aiming for: regular Champions League football, playing with the best of the best over the course of a season, challenging for titles with, given the age of their squad, as long as they retain the players they have, they should be challenging, for years to come. So I don't think he sees an issue there. He knows it's a bit of a project, even though they're a bit ahead of schedule at the moment. He still knows that it's a bit of a project. There's still a bit of a way to go in terms of certain players, reaching their upper levels and, maybe, patterning out that squad because it is a little bit thin in certain areas. He knows that it might take a few years until they're properly challenging for every major honour like we do. So I do think it's, something to watch out for the next 4-5 years. You can't really get too ahead of yourself. You never know what's going to happen. Again, like I said, it's football. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what he's thinking. Maybe he's like Harry Kane and he will just stay at Arsenal regardless. Maybe he's one of those who he's that fond of the club. He loves the club that much that he can't bear leaving for a rival.
That's just it. I agree. It's an interesting one, and Lucas says Aston Villa and Arsenal are not the same. I agree. I agree, Lucas. I don't disagree with you for one sec, but the point or the principle I'm trying to get across is that if there's no success or continuous success for a player of Saka's quality, he may start to look towards playing for a City or maybe a Newcastle if they're trying for success, or Liverpool if they get back to the top and get themselves back in order. I think it's reasonable to suggest that, Lucas, that a player of his quality will eventually want success. But the thing is, Joe's right. Arsenal is a good place to be right now. I've got a lot of time for Arsenal Football Club. I like Arsenal Football Club. People may not like me saying that because we're meant to all be rivals and hate each other, but no, I admire what Arteta's done. I like the fact that he's doing this with an extremely young squad, and that's something that's going to work in Arsenal fans' favour of retaining Saka. They're doing this with a really young squad that can only get better with a bit more investment and tweaking a few more things. You could see Arsenal becoming successful and challenging us consistently if they keep pushing the right buttons and doing things properly. So I'm not for one sec saying Saka needs to leave Arsenal. It's not the place to be. No, I think you could see Saka spend his whole career there, win a couple trophies, be happy out. I think there's every chance that happens. But there's also the flip side, the devil's avocado that myself and Joe are making here, is that if the success doesn't come consistently, a player of Saka's quality may potentially start to look towards clubs like City, who will be challenging for the top honours all the time. I think it's I think that's reasonable to suggest. Sid, with the sales of Liverpool and United and with Newcastle's newfound wealth, the price of players like Saka will go mental in next few seasons. Whoever gets Saka eventually will probably have to pay crazy money, because myself and Joe, I assume the rest of you, unanimously agree that he will sign an extension with Arsenal. To think he won't sign an extension with Arsenal, you'd probably be massively wrong. And if he doesn't sign an extension with Arsenal, There will be uproar at the Emirates. I could see the fans trying to burn down the stadium if Saka does not sign. He'd be King Judas. He'd be the biggest Judas in North London. He'd go down with Sol Campbell and the likes of them if he doesn't sign an extension. While they're like this, things are so good. There's no reason not to sign an extension. It would come across almost a little bit greedy on Saka's part, but I don't think he's like that. I think he's going to extend. They're going to push for the next 3-4 years to get themselves to a new level they haven't been at for a long time, and I think they can do it. I think Arsenal Football Club can do it. Tyrone Douglas, Wagwan Blues, Wagwan Tyrone. Good to see you, my guy. Harry Kane, miss is worth it if Southgate fucks off. I'm not good. I see Southgate, according to Matt Law, is staying. He's keeping the job at England.
I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. I'm heartbroken.
I know, man. Saka will sign the contract, but it's only if he really believes that Arsenal gets top 4. If not, I think he should put a cheap release clause in his contract just in case. There will be no release clause, I don't think. And if there is, it'll be similar to Jack Grealish's, a 100 to 120 million release clause. Arsenal Football Club will not allow Bukayo Saka to have a 40, 50 million release clause. Impossible. Saka is the truth. Saka is the man. Lucas, I know what you are saying, Hugh, but Bukayo is the most likable guy in the world. His family and Arsenal. His family are Arsenal are the most important things for him. I could get it a bit more if you said Martinelli. No, listen, I get what you're saying, Lucas. I agree. I firmly agree with everything you're saying. I think you're not wrong one bit. I just think in 5 years down the line, like Joe said, 4 or 5 years, if Arsenal have plateaued or gone stagnant or failed to deliver Saka that big success that he probably deserves at some point in his career, he may start to look at it. The same way if City fell off a cliff right now, yeah, and things completely hit the fan, shit completely hits the fan for Manchester City, I would understand the likes of Cole Palmer saying, or Julian Alvarez saying, I need to move on. Sorry, Cole Palmer's probably a better example because not Phil Foden. Phil Foden's already won fucking loads anyway. I'd be a bit pissed off if he left. But Cole Palmer, who's won pretty well nothing, you know, if he said, I want to move on and I want to have a better crack at success, I'd say, fair enough, you do that. But it's not going to happen. I think it's a reasonable, it's an adult conversation, people. It's a reasonable conversation. Footballers want success. And they're kind of in a personal battle with themselves as, do I stick with my boyhood club while we're not winning anything? Or do I go to the club where I have a really, really good chance at success? And I know what I would do. I think I would go to the club with the success.
It's Grealish again. I know we made the comparison that Arsenal and Aston Villa aren't alike. They're not alike. But it's the same similar sort of thing where Grealish got them promoted as captain, as the best player. They spent a fuck ton of cash to finish 16th or whatever it was. And then they did the same thing again. They spent a fuck ton of cash and finished in the bottom half of the table again. Almost got relegated. Like, he saw that and went, nah, listen, release clause in my contract, 100 million. If a Champions League club comes in, only a Champions League club, none of this Europa League shit, right? I don't need that. If a top 4 club comes for me, 100 million, I am theirs. That's what he did. And Saka, albeit maybe not a release clause, but he might be thinking, again, like that. I know Arsenal is important to him. He loves Arsenal. Of course he loves Arsenal. He's been there since he was a child. He supports the club. But in terms of his career, if Arsenal go down a pattern where in the next 4 or 5 years they're doing exactly what they did under the last sort of 3-4 under Wenger, it's just top 4, a late FA Cup run, and that was it. They'd get bounced in the round of 16 by someone half decent. They'd be out of a title race before Christmas, and they'd have that one FA Cup run where they might go on and win it, but they might not. He might think of that and go, I wonder what's out there for me. I wonder if there's league titles out there, European success out there just waiting for me around the corner, these big medals. I think that's something that obviously Arsenal fans, you'll hate the thought of that. And if that was say Foden, I'd hate the thought of that as well. Him going, I wonder what's out there for me. I'd despise that and I wouldn't even want to think of it. But it is sort of interesting conversation to have because Arsenal have, especially this version of Arsenal, they haven't been consistently successful. They haven't won a league title in 20 years? Something like that? Almost 20 years?
I want to say 04. I want to say 04. Can someone give me a fact check on that?
They never won consistently, and then obviously sort of latter years of Wenger, they were never like they were title challengers 1 year, weren't they, when Leicester won it? And then that was it. Like in them 20 years, that's the closest they've been to a title apart from right now. So you're saying what, 2 title races in 20 years? It's not great. it's not great. And for a player of his caliber, you might look at that and go, if history continues to repeat that pattern, I might want to win trophies. He might get to a stage where he gets to what Harry Kane is, where he gets to 29 and he goes, my contract's running out. I'm just going to see if I can get a 2-year ride somewhere and get some silverware. He might do that. That might be enough of a fix for him. But again, like I said, you never know. It's football. Anything can happen. He could turn around and just be loyal to Arsenal, which I would respect, because you don't really get loyalty in football anymore. It's a lot of mercenaries going about. But, just speaking on the topic, it could potentially go the way of Grealish, as to where Arsenal just don't progress. And if, again, like Grealish, he saw no progression, he got out of there for trophies. If Saka sees no progression, he might, have his head turned a little bit.
Milo says, in all of your dreams, he ain't going, or hands off Saka. What the fuck? No, I get that. Listen, I don't think it's happening anytime soon. I don't think it's like I right now. I can't see it happening at all. Myself and Joe are just hypothetically speaking in the future what you could see Saka potentially feeling like, and I think it will be understandable. He's probably looking at the likes of Harry Kane, who have had smashing careers in terms of personal accolades and personal achievements, and all those awards he's got for being a great player, but he's won nothing of any great note. Harry Kane, has he? I mean,
Audi Cup, how dare you?
Yeah, you got a free Audi, whatever. Happy days, but I'm sorry, Harry Kane is a player who is good enough to have won everything in the game. He really is. He's a Champions League winning standard player, a Premier League multiple time winning standard player, and he's fucked it by signing long-term silly contracts with Tottenham and not forcing his way out when he should have when City came in from 2 summers ago, wasn't it? So I'd say Saka, he's aware of these things, but he's in no rush. There's no rush with Saka to leave Arsenal, because we've gone over it. They're in a great state right now, and it's up to the club and the board to continue building on that, to hold on to their assets, their big assets, their Sakas, their Martinellis, their Jesus now, of course, who is injured. That's going to make it tough for them, or it's going to date their chances anyway of winning the Premier League this year. Lucas, maybe I'm a bit touchy when it comes to our star boy. I'd probably cry. I get that. I fully get that, man. I know you're just being real. I'd be touchy as well if I was an Arsenal fan about Saka, but I would also be aware of the realities that myself and Joe have just gone over in depth. Give us Alvarez and Foden. No, you're all right. We'll give you a breather. Mikel Arteta is the reason you won't get Bukayo. It's actually your own fault. Mate, listen, Arteta has not proven himself to be a Premier League or Champions League winning manager. Bukayo Saka evidently is going to be, or already is, a Premier League winning standard player, and maybe a Champions League winning standard player, who knows? And if Arteta fails to hit that level, or if the next manager, if there is to be one, fails to hit that level, that's when Saka may say, I need to move on. He may say, or else he may say, no, I'll stick at it with Arsenal even though I won't win anything. You don't know, people. It's just the way football works. Give them Mahrez and Ake for Saka, and then bring in Gvardiol to replace Ake. That would be a pretty sweet deal, I can't even lie. One question, do you think loyalty is overrated or not? I think loyalty is important, but it's not that much consensus around it these days. Not that much consensus around it these days. I think, people, it may sound cynical of me, but in football today, professional football, there ain't no loyalty, or else there's very, very little of it. Very little of it. With so much money in the game and so much big inflated egos, whether we like to recognize it or not, loyalty is not a major part of professional football anymore. There is the odd exception, maybe even you like Harry Kane, but you could obviously question his loyalty when he was looking at pushing his way to Manchester City. I mean, there's been players over the years. Steven Gerrard, even he tried to push his way to Chelsea at one point, but there was protests outside Anfield. These top players that history looks very kindly back on, that you go, no, he was a one club man, this, that, the other. So many of them wanted to get their moves away at one point. Stevie G, like I said, wanted Chelsea. He wanted Chelsea. Jack Grealish came to Manchester City. Harry Kane, he wanted Manchester City. Michael Owen, Liverpool cult hero. He ended up at Manchester United, people. You know what I mean? These... Figo, Barca to Real. Barca made Figo. He ends up at Real Madrid. Listen, people, if you think loyalty is a massive part of professional football, give your head a wobble. There is exceptions. I do get that. And I'm sure some of you may start throwing exceptions at me in the chat. And I get that. But listen, loyalty, if you think it's really ingrained in professional football, you're living in a fantasy. Big up Hugh, by the way. Well done for your ruse to recognition. I've been subscribed for a while, but Arsenal. Big up Milo, man. I appreciate that. Genuinely, really appreciate that, my bro. Renners, I don't think it's about egos. Football careers are very short, and winning trophies is so important. And that's it, man. That's it summed up very quickly. You can actually understand at times why there's not a lot of loyalty, because the careers are so short, and these guys want as much success to look back on when they're retired as possible. And, you know, some of these clubs that they're loyal to at the start aren't able to provide that for them, and that's all we're saying about Saka. That's why it may not happen. But I think Arsenal are on a good path. I think Arsenal are on a good path, and if they continue, they will hold on to Saka. They won't lose Saka. Sarthak Rawat says, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you want Bellingham? 11. I want Bellingham. No, listen, with you, Bellingham, Joe, we may as well move on to Bellingham a little bit. We'll talk about him again. I like to talk about Bellingham. Get him up on screen, Joe. Let's see his beautiful face. With Bellingham, like, I want Bellingham. Don't get me wrong. I want Jude Bellingham, but I'm not desperate for him, if you get me. Like, I would love him, but I'm relaxed about it. I'm very relaxed about it. I think we will make efforts to get him. I think if we want him bad enough, I think if Khaldoon, Pep, and the board decide they want him bad enough, they'll get him. I think if we want someone bad enough, we'll get them. But I wouldn't be heartbroken if we don't get him, because we have such a strong midfield as it is. There's obvious players who can ultimately move into midfield, like Phil Foden, even Jack Grealish, Cole Palmer. We can bring in other midfielders from around the world. Like, there's plenty of great midfielders around the world right now to look at up and coming. So, but with Haaland, when I contrasted with Haaland, I really wanted Haaland. I was like, give me Haaland. I want that Nordic meat shield. But with Bellingham, it's kind of like, yeah, I would love him. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. City fans in the chat, let me know your thoughts on like, how much do you actually want Bellingham, or is it just one of those things that you want another big name, or you want to stop Liverpool getting him, or like, give me your reason as to why you would like Bellingham. I don't think anybody wouldn't like him. I mean, Joe, is he a player that you look at and go, I desperately want him, or we need him? He is the guy, the way we looked at Haaland as being the guy.
No, there's no one in world football that makes me go like that. And even though I've spoken on, Messi on a free, big man, I'd love it. Like, I'm not that arsed at the end of the day if he goes to the... I mean, I would be annoyed if he goes to MLS because he's nowhere near finished. But I'm not that arsed if he continues at PSG, goes back to Barca. Like, there's no one in world football that makes me go, yeah, we need him. We need him. We're Premier League champions. We're in another title race with the squad we have. You're right.
Sorry.
We don't need anyone. We don't need anyone. We're challenging for every single trophy as it is. To say we need someone, that's just overkill. We'd like these players. We'd like additions or small improvements. We'd like a little bit more depth in certain areas. But again, we don't need anything. If we needed anything, then we wouldn't be in a title race. We need to improve. We don't need to improve. There's not really many areas we can actually get better. So, no, we don't need him. I'd like him, mainly because it stops anybody else from getting him, which would be nice. That's sort of my one thing, is if we don't get him, one of our rivals is probably going to get him, whether it be Liverpool. I don't think he goes to Spain. I don't think he goes to Madrid. He wants to play in the Premier League, in my opinion.
It's Liverpool.
It's Liverpool. If we don't get him, Liverpool get him, which is the annoying thing as to why I want him so much more so, because I don't want Liverpool to have him. That's my main reason, really. That and the fact that he is actually genuinely quite good. But if you were to offer me hypothetical situations, once again, we love doing hypotheticals. If you were to offer me the option of signing Jude Bellingham and extending Ilkay Gundogan's contract, or signing Enzo Fernandez and letting Bellingham go to Liverpool and re-signing Bernardo Silva, I take Enzo Fernandez and a contract extension for Bernardo Silva. I'm sorry, I just do. Like, I'm not too pushy when it comes to Bellingham. I'll be obviously slightly annoyed if he ends up at Liverpool, but it's not the end of the world. If we need a midfielder, there are others out there. It's not Bellingham or nobody. Like, he's not the only central midfielder that is available or that would be, as up to par with the rest of our squad. Like, he's not that guy, not yet. But I'm not pushed. I'm really not pushed. I'd like him. I think that we will try, because I think it's stupid to suggest that we won't even attempt, because if we can actually get him, then why not?
I'm the same as you, really, the exact same. And the thing about Enzo is equally as good as and has the exact same potential ceiling as Jude Bellingham. Jude Bellingham just gets all the hype because he's English, like that's a thing. English players get a lot of hype, and I can see it. Top players playing, from from big countries like England, they're going to get a lot of media attention. But Enzo is equally as good as and has the same potential, I think, as Jude Bellingham. But something like you can see, like myself and Joe have said, we're very relaxed about the Bellingham thing. We would like him. We think he would be great for Manchester City, but there's also a huge element of it. It's kind of like just being spiteful. I would love to take him away from Liverpool, stop Liverpool getting him. I've got so many Liverpool fans in my DMs every day saying, Bellingham is our guy. He's the one we want. He is our next big thing. We need him. I'd love to just see the tears. If City announced, welcome to Manchester, Jude Bellingham, can you imagine the meltdown from Liverpool fans would be just absolutely hilarious, just on a banter level, people. It's not even that deep. It's not that serious. It's just, it would be funny, as I'm sure you guys can imagine. But I'm the same as Joe. If we got Enzo, I would be equally as happy. And what's mad is, I said it on the Big Six last night, there was a point in time when we had agreed and we had done the Alvarez deal. It was like City are also pushing or looking to sign this Enzo Fernandez kid, because obviously Alvarez and Fernandez played together at River Plate. We were looking to do a double sweep, take the two of them at once, and the Fernandez one didn't happen for whatever reason or another. But we could literally have them both right now if things happen in a parallel universe, if you like. But listen, with Bellingham, I'm relaxed. I would like him. I would really like him. I think he's a top player, and he will be for the next 15 years at the highest level of football. And I would love him at City. But if it doesn't happen, you won't see me shedding tears. You won't see me having a meltdown. I'll be like, damn, that's a really good player Liverpool have acquired. Liverpool are going to be substantially stronger now in the middle of the park if he goes there. But listen, we move, man. We move. Our club operates brilliantly. We always bring in great players. When we miss out on our big transfer targets, we always seem to bring in a hidden gem no one's ever heard of. Remember, we wanted Koulibaly. Remember, there was a private jet hired to bring Koulibaly to Manchester City, and ultimately we end up with this randomer called Ruben Diaz. And look how that turned out. He was fantastic. So all I'm saying is, don't lose sleep over it. But I know Joe feels different to me about the Haaland thing. But when Haaland saga was happening, you remember, people, I wanted Haaland. I needed Haaland in my life. I needed that Viking. I don't feel like that about Bellingham. No disrespect to the kid. Think he's wonderful. But as Joe said, we have Bernardo, we have Gundo. I would love both of them to sign. If we could add Enzo on top of that, great day's work. Great day's work in my opinion. What are people saying? No offense, but Enzo Fernandez would die for our club, and he and other Argentinians would die for a football club. It's so ingrained in the South American football culture, and we have a great history with Argentinians. Our Argentinian blues are coming after you. We've had great Argentinians over the years. I would happily have Enzo Fernandez. He's really impressed me. I remember when we were linked with him at that point, when we were trying to get Alvarez and Fernandez, there was a lot of compilations of Fernandez playing for River Plate floating around social media, and I was impressed, and he's taken it to a new level clearly with Benfica, and another new level again in recent weeks with Argentina at the World Cup, and he may be a World Cup winner by Sunday evening. So he's no bozo, if you like. I think Bellingham to City is done deal, and we still have about 80 minutes left. Renners, where are you getting this information from? If you got information suggesting Bellingham to City is done deal, send it to me, and I would like to know where you got it from. I'm very curious. If we don't get Bellingham, then I want Valverde, says D1 Millie. I want Bellingham. Just imagine Bellingham and Foden in our midfield. But where does that leave Bernardo? Where does that leave Gundo? Where does that leave De Bruyne? You know what I'm saying, man? We're not exactly a team struggling for players, are we? We have a great set of players right now. Plenty of depth. We're not bad, man. We're doing good. Life is good. Bellingham would be just a good addition, a great addition that would, he can hopefully get better and stronger at City. But listen, life is good, like I said. I mean, listen, there's 25 people in the building right now. If you could just do us a massive favor, smash the like button. It's free to do. Make sure you're, of course, subscribed to the channel on our road to 5K and have the notification bell turned on so you don't miss it when we go live. Joe, any closing thoughts on Jude Bellingham? Anything I missed out on or that we didn't cover?
Not really, no. I mean, it's interesting to see people's opinions on alternatives or, this and that. And I've seen various people. I think D1 Midi was like, he doesn't want Enzo Fernandez, and it's like Dash said that he really wants Enzo Fernandez instead of Bellingham up front anyways, regardless. I think Tyrone Douglas saying Rice is closer to Yaya Toure than Jude Bellingham. No one is close to Yaya Toure. I don't think anyone really comes close. De Bruyne's probably the closest you get nowadays. Like, the level is so high, but Yeah, I'm not really bothered. If he goes to Liverpool, it is what it is. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to lose sleep. Yeah, it's a good signing, but it's not like they haven't made good signings before. I mean, like, look at Salah, look at Mane. Just, like, come on, don't kid yourselves. They do good business. Like, Kanate even, just look at one of their more recent signings. Like, it's not going to bother me as much because I know that we're still good anyway. I know there's alternatives. I know that there are alternatives, and I know that we will pick the right alternative because, again, I back my football club to the transfer business after what I've seen over the last few years. So Bellingham is not the be-all and end-all. I still think people way overhype him because people keep saying or acting like he's the best thing since sliced bread. He's not. He's a little bit unpolished. He still has good qualities about him and will probably be one of the best in his position later down the line, but he's not like all that. He's not like the best of the best in his position. Not yet. He's only 19. Don't let, commentators don't remind you enough. He's only 19. You better not forget that. But that Valverde shout keeps coming out from D1 Millie. I'm sorry. I love him. He's probably one of the better players in his position already. But the man signed a contract extension 6 months ago that runs until 2027. It's not happening. It's not happening. It's contract to 2027. His market value is 100 million already. Big man. I'd stop mentioning it if I were you.
Who's saying Valverde?
D1 Millie, he loves Valverde, and so do I. But like, come on, it's never happening. Why would he leave Real Madrid?
Yeah, listen, D1 man, I get what you're saying. Valverde's class, but it's one of those ones. Joe's just giving you an exclusive here. It ain't happening. It's not.
I can tell you, I am not in the know, but it is not happening.
I'm not in the know, but I know it's not happening. Basically, that's what we're saying. It ain't happening. D1. I love Valverde. I think he's sick. But listen, remember the journalist that had close relations to Team Haaland, as he called, a month ago? He said there is another club apart from Real and Liverpool that planned on signing Jude. Is it us or not? Darsh, it is us. It is us. We plan on signing Jude. I reckon Bellingham is in the plans to sign for Manchester City, or we plan on signing him. We want him. We will push for him. We will try to get him. But as fans, myself and Joe are saying, we will not lose sleep. We will not cry if Liverpool announce him or Madrid announce him or he goes somewhere that's not us. We will not get too upset. It's not the end of the world. Joe said he's not the be-all and end-all, and Joe is right. Do you think we can get both Gvardiol and Bellingham in one window? I think we can, and we're going to move on to Gvardiol next now in 1 second. But yeah, I think we can. I think we're going to see 2 or 3 signings next summer. I think one of them will be high profile, whether it's Saka, whether it's Bellingham, whether it's Fernandes, or whether it's Gvardiol. I think we will make one high profile signing next summer, and we may add 1 or 2 more on top of that. And I also would prep yourselves for 1 or 2 exits that you weren't expecting. Maybe Bernardo, maybe Laporte, maybe Ake, maybe Gundo. Prepare yourself for 1 or 2 major exits and 1 or 2 major incomings. I think that's what you can map yourself out for next summer. But listen, you see Gvardiol up on screen right now. As someone said earlier on, Gvardiol, we made a 110 million euro bid, according to that Santi JFM guy. We spoke about him earlier on. 90-minute football, I think that's Graham Bailey again. I'm pretty sure he works for 90-minute football. He says today via 90-minute football, Ruben Diaz, Nathan Ake, or Aymeric Laporte could quit Man City if the Premier League champions sign Josko Gvardiol. Joe, what are your initial thoughts about that report from Bailey?
I want to I think it's 3 things that immediately jump out to me. It's the words could, if, and New Year. Now, obviously, could and if are very sort of vague terms, aren't they? They could quit. They could leave. Sort of covering, really, because they might not. They might do. I mean, I think most of us thought that Ake was gone in the summer. He didn't end up going because Chelsea didn't cough up the cash. I think out of that list, could leave if we sign him. If we do sign Gvardiol and we have to let someone go, or someone wants to go to balance out the squad, maybe balance out the books a little bit as well, my initial preference is Nathan Ake. That's just my preference because I'm really not that ass. I like him. I think he's extremely underrated. I don't think he really gets credit he deserves. He got a little bit of credit for the World Cup because he actually outshone Virgil van Dijk, so he got his credit a little bit there. But out of those names, he's probably the one to go for me. If we sign him, again, the word if we sign him, I don't know whether we will. 110 million seems stupid for a man who got his price tag knocked in half when Messi made mincemeat of him in the semi-final. And again, there's another one where Chelsea are sniffing around him and they've got all the cash in the world to spend and they actually need signings in January. And that's where the whole New Year thing comes in. Because to me, I don't see us doing any business in the New Year. I don't see us doing any business in January. I don't see it. We normally only do it if we are in desperate need of some cover. When was the last January signing we made? What, was it Laporte when we signed him? Because we needed a centre-half. Was that the last January signing that we made? I think.
The last major one was Laporte.
Before that, it was Gabriel Jesus because obviously the South American calendar works differently. So he'd just finished his season, so we brought him in to be, the Aguero understudy. So we don't often make January signings, even when, say, a couple of years ago when we had no centre backs, we still didn't, make a January signing. We didn't sign anyone. We just put up with it. It's very uncharacteristic for us to go in January and potentially upset the balance of the squad. It's a thing that you also have to be wary about. Of if you go and sign players in January, they need that time to gel with the squad. They need time to bed in, especially if they're coming from a foreign league. They need to learn the language and the style of play and their teammates. So I don't know. I don't see it being in the new year. That's the three things that pop out to me. Is they could leave. Again, it's very like. So yeah, they could, but I suppose anyone could leave the football club if they really wanted to. If we sign him, again, I think that's a big if. I don't see it because we don't need him. I think 100 million for a player that we don't need is outright just ridiculous. And again, in the new year, I don't see us doing any business in January, and I'd be surprised if, he's still around come the summer if we actually have the money to be able to spend.
Tyrone, was it not Diaz? No, Diaz was a late August signing 2 years ago. That was when Diaz came. Laporte, on paper, is our best defender. Milo, if Barcelona don't turn up in the near future, Pep will try gobble Pedri. I can assure you, Milo, Pedri is one player that we will never, ever, ever sign. Barcelona have that guy locked down. Chains, harnesses, everything. He has a €1 billion release clause? Is that what it is, Joe?
Yeah, because the La Liga rules state that every single player has to have a release clause, which is why every time you see a new contract, it's always, billion if you want him.
Yeah, telling him, Milo. I like Pedri. I think he's also slightly overrated. I like him, though. I think he's a very good player and he can become really world class. But it ain't happening. Laporte might go, Tyrone. I think the only two I could see leaving in the next 12 months is Laporte and Ake. I don't want either of them to go. I would prefer to just keep all the 5 centre-halves we have and not get Gvardiol. And listen, I like Gvardiol. I think he's a really top player and he's going to be a top player. But we don't need him. We really don't need him, do we? We would only want to bring him in if we lost Laporte or Ake. Obviously, Ake we thought was leaving last summer, going back to Chelsea, wasn't it? We thought. And I can see Laporte potentially, with his new Spanish thing, and he's playing for Spain, maybe want to try his hand at playing for a Barca or a Real Madrid or Atletico, someone like that. You could see Laporte maybe showing interest in that, going back to La Liga and giving that a rattle. I can't see Diaz going anywhere. I think Diaz really loves the club. He wants to be at the club for a long time. He's got a contract now till 2027. John Stones, think he's happy where he is. He's English. He's won loads of Premier Leagues. He's going to challenge for loads more. Think he's happy where he is. Akanji, we've obviously offered him a whole new life. Akanji played for Dortmund and Basel, and he's now playing for the Premier League champions. And he's got a good chance of winning himself a Premier League. So I can't see anybody but Ake and potentially Ake or Laporte, one or two or both of those going, and that's the only situation I could see us paying that money for Gvardiol. And the only reason Gvardiol will cost as much as he does, or he's tipped to cost, is because of how young he is. And he's playing really, really well for Leipzig. He's playing really, really well for Croatia. So Leipzig are saying, right, you want a top centre half at his age? Pay 100 million. And I get that. I think that's understandable from Leipzig in today's market anyway. I don't agree with anybody costing 100 million, not even Super Jack. But in today's market, I get it. I understand it because there's not many world-class centre-halves out there. And with Gvardiol on track to becoming a world-class centre-half, I can see why Leipzig will put that price tag on his head. I don't know. What's the guy called again who said City have made that offer for him? I forget the name. There was some journalist was saying recently that City have made the offer of €110 million plus add-ons for Gvardiol. I don't think it's true. I don't think it's true at all for 1 second. Our centre-backs next summer, Laporte and Stones are 29, and Akanji and Ake are 28, and Diaz is 26. So the CBs are aging. None of them are old, man. For centre-backs, none of those ages are old. Centre backs can now play until they're 37, 38 at the highest level. For God's sake, Pepe scoring goals the World Cup. He's 40 in a couple months. Centre backs can play a lot longer. Like Diaz at 26 is not old. He's a young centre half. Stones 29. He's probably in his prime. Stones is in his prime right now. Ake likewise. Akanji likewise. So there's no aging issue there. I don't think we're in desperate need to replace any old men. I mean, Fernandinho was 37 when we got rid of him. He was what you would call old, and we needed to.
His legs fell off.
His legs. When we saw him playing full back against Real Madrid, we knew the curtains were closing, weren't they, Joe?
No, they weren't closing. They'd been closed for a long, long time.
Fernandinho trying to mark Vinicius at 37 years old.
That was the moment where you go, big man, this is not for you anymore. You should you pack your bags, please. It's painful to watch.
Here's your Ryanair or EasyJet flights, mate. It's not for you anymore. Listen, big up Fernandinho, great player, but you get what I'm saying about aging players. Pedri is not overrated. I think Gavi is, and Gavi is a baller. I think Pedri, I don't know, is overrated the word, but I'm not seeing enough of him, I suppose, to call him world class. I like him. I like him as a player. I've seen him. But I don't know, maybe I just haven't seen enough Barcelona. I'm going to be real with you people. Listen, nearly 30 people in the building right now. Just do us the favor, would you, and smash the like button. It's free to do, and it really helps the channel. And subscribe, of course. Hugh and Joe, how long do you think it will take for Cancelo to regain his form? Next week or 2 weeks. Trust me, people, Cancelo's going to come back with a bang. Pep's going to speak to him. They're going to have a chat about everything. And moving forward, Cancelo, don't sleep on him. I can see Stones going if he starts to have more injury issues, but if not, I can see him staying. If Stones has injury issues, he's not going anywhere. No one's going to buy him. No one's going to take him if he's got injury issues.
With him.
What?
We're stuck with him. If he keeps doing his army, we're stuck with him.
That's it, man. No one's buying an injured player. These prices are ridiculous. Then if he goes back and he has a bad end of season, the price drops. It's so stupid, says Tyrone. Also, I could see his price dropping substantially between now and next summer. That journalist I'm on about was saying City are looking to make the deal happen in January with him going back on loan to Leipzig till the summer. That would be bad business for me from Manchester City. I think you could see his price drop massively in the next 6 months leading up to the transfer window. He's only got that massive price tag right now because of recency bias, recency hype, World Cup hype. Let him go and play in the Bundesliga again. Let him get skint by whatever top striker, Mane or someone in the Bundesliga once, twice. All of a sudden, his price drops again. It's the market is so up and down. It's quick moving. So I think to jump in on him right now off the back of a great World Cup, slow down. Bit premature is all I'm saying. I don't want us to keep players when their legs are gone. We're not. As you can see, City are very good at getting rid of players when their legs are gone. Aguero, Fernandinho, who else? Sterling. Raheem Sterling's legs were gone. It wasn't happening for him either. Come on, guys, get the likes up. Exactly, Adam. Adam's right. Get the likes up, people. Thoughts on Calvin Phillips, Joe and Hugh? Joe, Englishman. Calvin Phillips played for England a little bit in the World Cup. Do you want to take that one?
Yeah, tiny bit. He got pretty much no minutes, and I wasn't expecting him to get many anyway, so I'm not surprised. Hopefully he'll be one of the players back sooner, because I think the players who got knocked out in the quarter-final have been out for 6 days now, I think, something like that, so I doubt they'll even be back for the Liverpool game, but I'm hoping Phillips is one of the sooner players back, because he needs minutes, because he hasn't got many, because Rodri cannot play 60 odd games a season, so it'd be quite nice to have him back and to see him play football, because we're going to need it.
I love Calvin Phillips. I really, really like Calvin Phillips, and that's only based on what I've seen of him playing for Leeds and England. There's nothing to base that off for Manchester City. There really isn't, but I love him as a player, and it feels a little bit like a new signing, and feels a little bit like a January signing, because we're only going to get to start reaping the rewards of signing Phillips from sort of January onwards, aren't we? I'm glad he went to Qatar with England. I am, because it was kind of like a training camp for him, wasn't it? It was like him getting himself fit through training for England for our second half of the season. So in a way, it's worked out great for us. So, happy fucking days. Julian Alvarez and Erling Haaland is a huge headache for Pep. It must be hard for Pep to pick one, since Alvarez has been awesome in the World Cup. Listen, people, I love Alvarez. I think Alvarez is brilliant, but he's not on Haaland's level. And people are saying we have to fit him in on the wing, or we have to take Grealish out, or Foden out, or Mahrez out to put Alvarez in the wing. You're disregarding the fact that playing on the wing is a completely different thing to playing through the middle. Alvarez is a through the middle, out and out, fox in the box, Lethal finisher, like a smaller version of Erling Haaland. He offers similar things, but also different dynamics, if you get what I'm saying. Throwing him on the wing, you're giving him a completely different job just to fit his name in. You're just trying to fit him in because he's Julian Alvarez when you're actually not going to get the best out of him on the wing. We see him flourish for Argentina because he plays through the middle and he's got great creative players around him in Enzo, in Di Maria when he's fit, and of course Messi and whatnot. That's why you see Alvarez flourish. I'm not buying into this. We have to fit him in onto one of the wings because he's Alvarez. No, we have wingers who play as wingers. Alvarez was brought in to be our striker second option, or an option as a striker. He'll get loads of time. The same way Joe was saying about Rodri not being able to play 60 games. Haaland can't play 60 games. And you've seen with Haaland, the majority of games he does play, he only plays for about 60, 65 minutes, doesn't he? Or he's usually taken off by the 70th minute. And he gets... And let's also be honest, Haaland is he's quite injury prone, isn't he? He's, with all these growing issues and strains and niggles and whatnot. Alvarez is going to be really important for us. But I don't think it's a case of you have to just throw him into the starting 11 right now at right back or something just to fit him into the team because he's played great in the World Cup. He's going to play loads for City. He's going to play ahead of Haaland at times. He's going to come on for Haaland at times. They're sharing this role of scoring goals. Both of them are going to score a shed load of goals. But don't just throw one of them at left back or left wing or right back just to get them into the team. I get what you're saying, people, and he has been exceptional for Argentina. But you know what I'm saying, Joe?
I mean, yeah, I've been screaming this since we actually signed him and people wanted him to play more. The amount of football that he's coming off is ridiculous. He's got no break because the Argentinian calendar. People just need to relax themselves. He's a very, very, very unpolished product. He's nowhere near the finished article. And people have to remember that the guy that he is competing with is one of the best in his position. So I feel like it's just stupid having this conversation over and over and over again. It's ridiculous that we have them both, and it's great that we have them both because it is genuinely unfair. But to say that we've got to mess around with tactics to fit both of them in, or Alvarez has to start. If Alvarez starts every game from the restart of the season, he'll be burnt out within the next couple of months, and we won't be able to use him when we need him because he'll have just played too much football.
That's it. That's what I'm saying. And people are saying Alvarez offers more to the game than Haaland, though he's more technical. He is more technical. Alvarez is a better all-round footballer than Erling Haaland. But as a striker, your primary role is not to be a technical footballer. You have to be lethal. You have to be an assassin. You have to put the ball in the back of the net. That's how Darwin Noodles has made a career. He is the least technical striker I have seen in so bloody long. But in fairness to the guy, he is able to finish. Darwin Núñez can score goals. That's why he's at the highest level with Liverpool, because he can score goals. He was not brought in to be a technical striker. Like Mane was very technical. Luis Diaz is very technical. Salah's technical. We have technical players, but your primary role as an out-and-out number 9 is you have to get the ball in the back of the net. So Alvarez will share that pressure and that responsibility with Erling Haaland. I don't think it's a case of Haaland is he's always going to play 90 minutes every game, and then when he gets injured, Alvarez will slot in. No, Pep will pick and choose which one to use at which time in the game, in-game management. He'll look at each fixture. He'll look at the centre-backs we're up against and go, which one of these strikers suits this game or this time in the game more? And that's just it, really, people. That's just it. We don't need to fit them both in because they're both top players. That'd be like saying we have to get Grealish, Mahrez, Foden, Bernardo, every winger, Cole Palmer we have in the club, all into the team because they're all great players and whatnot. No, you have, squad depth is so important. That's what I'm saying, people. Squad depth is so important. Let the strikers play as strikers and rotate and share responsibility. Let the wingers do likewise. The fullbacks, centre halves, you get so on and so forth. The thing is, when it comes to the big games, Haaland is playing, not Alvarez. Unless he goes wide, then Alvarez may not be overall happy with that. I get what you're saying, and I think right now, unfortunately for Alvarez, the big games, Haaland will start. And as long as Haaland scores goals in the big games, why would you take him out? Do you know what I mean? Don't fix what's not broken. Or don't fix what's not broken. But the thing is, there will come times where Haaland maybe doesn't score, and we need to play Alvarez or what. You know what I'm saying, people? It's football. It's the way it works. They're sharing responsibility. Alvarez, I don't think, came in with the ambition of, I'm just going to be second fiddle to Haaland. And as Joe said, it's just unfortunate for Alvarez that he is behind the current most lethal striker in world football, Erling Haaland. But We've seen with Alvarez. He's a finisher. He's an assassin in his own right. So, let him grow and let him develop as well. You also have to remember both of them are really young. Alvarez younger than Haaland, but they're both really young. You don't want to overexhaust either of them. And the point that Joe made there about burning Alvarez out stands. It's a really valid point right now, and he's just off the back of an extremely intense World Cup, not even finished yet. He's trained and played for City quite a bit so far this season, or at least he's trained the whole time. He's made a few appearances. And then his season had just finished with River Plate about a week or two before he came to Manchester. If we start trying to throw Alvarez into every single game as of next week, the kid's going to be finished, physically finished by March. So man management, player management, in-game management, fixture analysing, all these things come into play. And that's why Josep Guardiola is paid the big moolah to make these decisions, people. So I just wanted to get my point across on that conversation of, drop Foden from the wing or drop Grealish from the wing so he can fit in Alvarez. Why would you drop Foden or Grealish, who are wingers, to fit in a striker? No, we could play a 4-4-2. We could play two strikers. That even makes sense if needs be.
Do we want to run a test? Do we want to run a test? Because I've got the numbers in front of me. Out of all the people in the chat who are like, Alvarez should play more, how many appearances, this can be off the bench, how many appearances do you genuinely think Alvarez has for City this season? Because I want to know how many times people think he's stepped onto a football pitch. I want to know, what goes through people's heads when they say he should play more. Because in my mind, he's made enough appearances. He's probably made more appearances than I've actually expected him, to be honest. I want to know a number. How many games the people in the chat think he's actually played this season? Because I don't think most people would actually get this. The amount of games he's appeared in. Because I think it's wild. I didn't expect it to be this high, but again, listen, man, just wait till the Champions League kicks off in February. Haaland will be playing midweek. Alvarez will get more chances on the weekend. Just wait your turn. You'll get what you want. We all want it. We all want to see him. But karma. Just karma.
Also, something to bear in mind is Alvarez did play quite a few games and he got lost. You know what I mean? There was one or two games I remember vividly where we did a review and we were saying Alvarez didn't look great, or he didn't look poor, or he looked tired, or he was lost a little bit. And then now we're seeing him bang at the World Cup for Argentina. Let the kid grow, let him develop, let Pep pick and choose when he plays, and let Haaland take responsibility. In terms of the next few weeks, Haaland has to start every game. In the next few weeks, Haaland has to start every single game. Fitness pending. Why? Because Alvarez has had a long season with River Plate. He's just gone and done a World Cup with Argentina. Haaland's had 5 weeks off. He's been chilling in Marbella, 5 weeks off, and now he's been pumping 500 shots a day at Carson for the last 3 weeks in the CFA. Haaland has to play. So if you see a team sheet in 2 weeks' time against Chelsea and Alvarez isn't starting, don't lose your shit. You know what I mean? There's reasoning behind all these decisions, and I think it's actually reasonable when you analyze the situation. If Haaland doesn't feel number one, he will go. Haaland is our Mbappe. Haaland is box office. Horsey City Forever says that. I agree. They're both box office. Haaland has obviously just got a bigger profile right now because the world is only really starting to understand Julian Alvarez now. Us as City fans, we have known for quite some time because we've been keeping tabs on Alvarez, how good he is and how good he can become. But the world is only seeing it now because of his performances on the biggest stage in the world. Scored 3 goals in 12, only started 3 games. Out of 12 games, he has only started 3. I get that, man. I get that. I still think, like I said, there's so many games to be played, so many competitions to fight for. Alvarez, he's going to get time. I'm saying, mate, people...
Do you want to know his appearances, just as the number? Because I never said.
Oh, go on, then.
In all competition, Premier League, Champions League, Community Shield, and EFL Cup, he's made 20 appearances already. 20.
He's got 3 goals.
20. He's got 7 goals in all competitions out of 20 appearances. Guaranteed, there are some of them where he's playing 1 minute, 4 minutes. He's played single-digit minutes. However, 20 appearances. How many people thought he would have 20 appearances before the World Cup started? With Haaland signing.
There you go, people. You've been told. The Alvarez one is... it's like the Gvardiol thing, People getting really, really gassed off the back of a World Cup. I get it, but we, as a club, need to be efficient and, reasonable in our selection and understand the situation we're in. Haaland's fit, Haaland's fresh, Haaland's going to play. Haaland can't play 90 minutes.
Don't ruin Alvarez. We don't want to end up in a situation where we have a talent and he ends up going down the drain because we do what United did with Rashford and play him through injuries and play him until he's dead on his feet.
And the beauty of it is there's nobody in the world I trust more to help Alvarez grow and develop than Pep Guardiola. So let's part the conversation there, people. Alvarez is going to be a hit. He's going to be a hit, but give the kid time. You know what I mean? Give him time. Let's make sure we give him a safe space to grow and develop. No silly pressure. No big, statistics have to be put on his forehead and all this kind of stuff. No, let him grow, let him develop, let him do his thing. When Pep plays him, support the kid. When Pep doesn't play him, support the kid. He's going to be super. Just let him do his thing. Big up yourself, Martin. What did Martin say? I don't know where. I can't see what Martin said. But listen, we're going to park it there. Let's talk about tomorrow's game. Obviously, the transfer talk, we did it there. Saka, Bellingham, Gvardiol, little chat about Alvarez there. I think Alvarez is something, it was a good conversation. I actually enjoyed that talk there. I was interested to see what so many of you in the chat were saying about Alvarez, because he had a sick World Cup. And I hope he wins it, man. I hope Argentina win it on Sunday, and I hope Alvarez scores. He's one goal behind Messi and Mbappe in terms of the Golden Boot. Wouldn't it just be crazy if Alvarez won the Golden Boot? You could then see the reaction I'm talking about growing even more. People being like, "No, drop Haaland, drop Haaland."
Where's his World Cup Golden Boot?
Alvarez won the World Cup and he's won the Golden Boot. Sell Haaland. We don't need a. You know what I mean, man? We're blessed to have them both, man. We paid 65 million for Haaland and Alvarez. We're blessed, people. We're good. Has Joe got a predicted lineup for tomorrow's game against Girona? Never doubt Joe. Never doubt Joe. Of course he fucking does. Whip her up, Joe. Whip her up, people. Let's talk about
it. It is fucking. I'm sorry. It's all over the place. It is disgusting.
Wow. Okay. Listen, I want to preface people. This is the first time I'm seeing this predicted starting 11. I was in work tonight, and Joe texted me and said, "Do we want to predict the starting 11?" I said, "Yeah, make whatever you want, and we'll have a chat about the situation." So, listen. In fairness to Joe, he didn't have a lot to work with, so we're in the position we are. The one that immediately stands out to me, Joe, is Gundo. He hasn't even trained. He hasn't been with City.
I just going off the fact that he got group staged, so. If anyone's going to be there, he should be there because De Bruyne's been training.
Yeah, there's something funny going on with Gundo, though. He's not back. I'm 99% sure he hasn't even joined up with the team yet. But I don't know. Maybe he'll turn up and have a kickabout against Girona tomorrow in the CFA or in the Academy Stadium. But listen, Girona tomorrow, people, Blues in the chat, get your thoughts in. How do you feel about this? City are back. Obviously, World Cup final on Sunday. That's going to get all the headlines. But you know what? Between me, you, and the wall, people, I care more about this Girona game. No injuries, fitness building, chemistry building, get back into flow. This matters more to me than the fucking World Cup final on Sunday. And that's just me being real. So yes, Joe does have a predicted starting 11. Get your thoughts in on the starting 11, people. You see it on the screen. We got Ortega, we got Josh Wilson-Esbrand on the left fullback, Rico Lewis right fullback, some guy called Burns, some guy called is that Katongo left centre half.
Do you know what? Palmer. Do you know what the maddest part is about all the defenders? Each and every single one of our centre halves made it far enough in the World Cup where they were out of the group stage and they weren't home early enough to be training with the squad, but not far enough to be like, they've all had 6 to 10 days off, which isn't enough for them to be back, but is like enough where you'd go, well, they could be back. Like, they've had a bit of a rest. So we genuinely have no one. And Betty's out on loan. Like, there is no one. I just picked. I went onto the City website. I went to players. I went to EDS, and I went, 2 centre halves. Let me just pick these guys. I mean, Finley Burns doesn't even have a picture in this season's kit. That is how desperate I'm in.
There you go, people. You got Palmer, De Bruyne, and Gundo in the middle. Pretty interesting. Pretty strong midfield, in fairness, if that was what it is to be. Although I don't think it will be. And then on the left wing, we've got a Spanish under-21 international winger, but plays fullback for us normally, Sergio Gomez. Big Erling Haaland through the middle, and then the Algerian king Riyad Mahrez on the right. Do you know what? I think what you could see instead of Gomez in the left wing, you could see that kid Borges. You could see Carlos Borges. He was out in Abu Dhabi with the team. He trained quite well from what I saw. I saw a lot of videos on Man City's official YouTube. It's interesting sometimes watching them train to see, who trains hard and whatnot, or how it looks. I don't know. And the Borges kid looks good. I think you could see Carlos Borges play left wing. But I think in terms of the players that we really fucking care about, who are going to have a big impact on the rest of our season, I would imagine those who are available or are back from resting Pep will want to get minutes into their legs. I mean, notoriously, Manchester City start the season slowly every year without fail. Even seasons that we won the Premier League at a canter, even seasons that we went down to the wire, we started all those seasons slowly. And whether you like it or not, this is almost like starting a season again. It's been, 5-6 weeks since we kicked the ball in a blue shirt. It's like starting a season again. So I think Pep, Rodolfo, all them, man, will want to make every decision they can to avoid starting off slowly again. I mean, it would be an absolute shit show to go out and lose to Leeds in the Premier League in the first game back. The Liverpool game, I would love to win it because it's Liverpool and I want to progress in the Carabao, but obviously the Leeds game actually means more in reality, doesn't it? So it would be a disaster to go and lose that game to Leeds, and then, we've got Stamford Bridge after that, I'm pretty sure, don't we? Or no, Everton at home. You'd like to think we win that, but then Stamford Bridge, then you've got United away in the Premier League, and then you've got Tottenham at home on paper. That's 3 crazy fixtures in January. And if we'd lost to Leeds, the pressure's on to win all 3 of those fixtures in January, which is not a good position to be in. We need to start off quick. We need to start off sharp. We need to get into that second half of the season rhythm that we're so used to on a year in, year out basis as soon as possible. Like, we know on a normal season where there is no Qatar World Cup in the fucking winter, for God's sake, that we always start the second half of the season, bang, there's a new vengeance, there's a click, there's a new rhythm, a new look. We need to find that ASAP Rocky. You know what I'm saying, Joe?
Yeah, we can't really start slow considering I prepared a little graphic for when we were going to do the sort of season preview, which I still have, but if I'm just looking at
season preview is coming.
If I just look at it here, I mean, the fact that we played Chelsea twice, United, Spurs, Liverpool, even though it's in the Carabao Cup, it's still Liverpool. Like, yeah, we can't really start slow because that's kind of all of our rivals in the span of about 2 months, month and a half. Like, there's no room for starting slow. We can't do this again, which scares me a little bit because even though Gabriel Jesus is a big miss for Arsenal, I know the fact that we could quite as easily just fuck it ourselves from just starting slow because we've done it before, and this is essentially start of the season. We've never got 6 weeks off or longer apart from in between seasons. This is unheard of. This has never happened before. So we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how teams are going to react. The only thing that we can base it off is regular starts of the season, and ours normally aren't too good, which is why, again, I'm not going to be upset if we lose to Liverpool. I want to beat Liverpool, not because of the Carabao Cup, even though I love the Carabao Cup. I want to beat Liverpool because it's Liverpool. That's it. If we lose, we lose. Am I that bothered? I'm not going to, again, like Bellingham, I'm not going to be upset. I'm not going to lose sleep. I care more about getting the win over Leeds and then moving on to Everton. And then we've got that big span where we've got, Chelsea twice, United, Spurs. That sort of running, that's where it's at for me. That's where my mind immediately goes to. I know as Pep and the players, they can't think like that. They've got to just take it as it comes, one game at a time. But in terms of looking at it as a fan, we need to prepare ourselves for that running because it's going to be brutal. It's going to be absolutely brutal because we're not going to have, just based on the predicted 11, Gundogan's not even training, so I doubt he's going to play. We're not going to have players back for that Liverpool game, or the Liverpool game is going to be, some of their players' first times back, in the country, let alone training, in the country, first times back. So, I don't know, man. I'm focusing more on Leeds personally, and then the running in the Premier League, because those Leeds and Everton games, those two are like, that's when you're going to get your big hitters coming back. Your England players who made it a bit far, Alvarez coming back from hopefully winning the World Cup with Argentina, he'll come back. And, it's going to be slow integration for all of those players who've had their weeks off while other players have come back and have trained and have actually played football games. So I'm wary. I'm not scared because I know what this team is capable of. I know that if we just click into gear as soon as possible, that we can go on a run of 20 games unbeaten and, go back top of the league. And we are capable of doing that. We do that. Most seasons, without fail, we go on a run. Even when we didn't win it that year that Liverpool won it, we still ended up finishing the season relatively strong. Of course, apart from the Lyon game. But I don't know. I'm excited. I am really excited. I care more about this, certainly, than I do the third place game that's going to be happening tomorrow. I don't really care about that at all. But this is my focus. I'm excited to actually be talking about club football again. You know how excited I am to watch club football, even if it's a friendly against Girona and we're going to have Sergio Gomez playing left wing. I'm so excited, man. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm the same, man. I'm so excited. I'm more excited to watch City at 1:00 tomorrow, against our sister club in a nothing game than I am to watch the World Cup final. That's just the way I am. But I know you said you don't really care if we lose to Liverpool, and I won't care about it on a deep level, but I'm going to the Liverpool game. I'm flying over to the Etihad. I want to see us win, but I get what I'm walking into. I get what I've signed up for. It's not going to be a full strength team, but we'll do a proper preview for that Liverpool game. I might see is Grizz or maybe even James Redmond. I'll see one of the Liverpool fans that I know around for a preview. We'll talk about the state of our clubs following the World Cup, the state of our clubs moving into the second half of the season. We'll do all the best content we can do for that Liverpool game next week. But in terms of tomorrow, we don't know what to expect. It's going to be a lottery as to who we see. I don't even think that what we see tomorrow is what we can expect against Liverpool. I think the Liverpool team that we field, or the team that we field against Liverpool, will be slightly stronger than we see tomorrow. But tomorrow is just about seeing City again. It's about seeing Haaland again. We know he's starting. We know Mahrez is starting. Mahrez is one of these players that we need to click in. We know he needs to find another gear in the second half of the season if he wants to be involved in the big moments. So hopefully he can put in a performance for himself tomorrow. Haaland likewise get back into the feel of competitive football, or 11 aside, whatever way you want to look at it. Get back to the pitch essentially. I'll be bothered if we lost Liverpool for the fourth time in a row. Have we lost Liverpool 4 times in a row? I thought we had 2 draws.
We haven't lost to them 4 times in a row, but we haven't beaten them in 4 games, which is worrying.
That is a bit worrying. Maybe just to get that monkey off our back, it would be nice to beat Liverpool next week. It's always nice to beat Liverpool. So yeah, of course we want to win it. And like I said, we'll do a proper preview for that, maybe with James or Grizz if anyone's around. If they're not around, we'll still do a preview. You know us. Hugh, Joe, what's your thoughts on this thing that was announced today about this 32-team World Cup that was announced today? I saw a bit about it. I didn't look too much into it. Joe, did you?
No, I don't really care. They always announce new tournaments and new rules, and I don't care. The Club World Cup for me has always meant absolutely nothing. You get your nice little golden badge if you win it, but no one's ever in the thing, so winning it doesn't really give you that much credibility. It just fucks up your season because you end up having to play your under-23s in like a cup game because you have to go and fly away to wherever it is normally in December. So I don't really care, to be honest. I mean, you never know, it might be good, but I mean, again, it's another new competition that just adds a spanner in the works. It's just unneeded football.
It seems to me a bit like FIFA are looking for a way to combat UEFA getting all the glory and money and commercial revenue that comes with ownership of the Champions League. So FIFA are looking to combat that by making their own, big world competition, and they'll market it as a massive World Cup. But in terms of the way I look at it is, it's not needed. It's not something we're calling for. It's not something we're asking for. We don't need it, is what I'm saying. And in terms of player welfare, it's poor. It's poor. It would be a poor thing to introduce in terms of player welfare because it would just mean even more football on top of all their international duties. The top players playing European football, domestic cups, domestic leagues. They don't need more football, man. And this would be to run alongside the Champions League and Premier League. So you could see a situation whereby we're in 5 competitions: Carabao, FA, Champions League, Premier League, and a Club World Cup. We don't need 5 competitions every season. The players don't need it. They don't want it. We don't need it. We don't want it. Case dismissed.
If you want to count sorry, just to cut across. If you want to count the Community Shield and the UEFA Super Cup, which is the domestic and European equivalent of each other, that's 7 competitions. That's 7 trophies.
Mate, listen. We don't need it. There's no appetite for it. They're just trying to introduce it to earn more money. It's like a FIFA manufactured version of the Super League. We don't need it. We're not asking for it. But listen, if it does come into fruition, I'll be interested to see what the ins and outs of it, what the intricacies of it are, like what way they want to structure it and how it would run. But do I ever want it to happen? No, I don't care, man. I like it the way it is. I like the football the way it is. I think the Champions League could make a few refinements to make way for the smaller clubs and the 5 English Premier League clubs getting away into the Champions League now as of next season or 2 seasons. That shouldn't be a thing. There should be a route whereby clubs like Celtic and Ajax and Dortmund And other top clubs around Europe should be in the group stages every single year if they win their domestic league. Like there's currently, for those of you who maybe aren't aware of the genuine top and bottom of the Champions League, you may only watch the group stages and the knockout stages every year. I have an interest in Celtic, as a lot of you will know, so I follow their European journey sometimes as well. And Celtic have had in many recent years a situation whereby they win their domestic league and have to play 4 Champions League qualifiers just to get to the group. So their season starts in late June. They're playing Champions League qualifiers, having won the domestic league. It's a Champions League, and you're making champions play 4 qualifiers. No, the Champions League is corrupt. UEFA is corrupt. That needs refinement. Refine the Champions League, fix the Champions League before you start introducing any more bullshit competitions. That's my stance, people. We need to win it to sing Champions of FIFA. You'll never sing that. Champions of FIFA, you'll never sing that. That's a good one. Jamie Carragher said everyone should boycott it. I would think so. I would hope so. I think City will hopefully have learned from their mistakes of the Super League and boycott this if it comes to happen. I just don't care. I just don't care. I have no appetite for it. I'm not hungry for it. It doesn't excite me. It doesn't get my juices going. And based off what Joe said, it doesn't do that for him either. But listen, we'll close that case there, because until something more comes out about it, we're not going to talk about it further. For those of you, I don't know, is anybody here in the chat, would you have been a subscriber of our channel? We had fuck all subscribers around the Super League time. What was it, Joe? Maybe 200 subscribers?
Yeah, a couple hundred.
Yeah, we had fuck all subscribers around the Super League time, but we made 1 or 2 videos back then. If you're interested, out of curiosity, go back to the Super League time on our channel and see what we were saying then. Compare it to what you see now. But we still feel the exact same. Nothing's changed on that situation. But listen, Club World Cup, fuck it off, man. Bin it off. I don't care. I care more about Girona tomorrow. 1 o'clock.
Viva la Girona. Come on, the Girona. Yeah.
Big up Girona, man. Isn't Keiki going to Girona? Or he left Girona or something like that?
I don't know what's going on with that guy. He got sent out on loan, and it turns out he's too shit, so he's coming back here, and we're apparently trying to find somewhere else to send him. I don't know what's going on. We've had an absolute nightmare with him.
There's a couple of our boys out in Girona right now, or we own Girona.
We own it. All of our players are there. We own it. They are our players.
Yeah, there are players. They're Sheikh Mansour's army. You know what I mean? We own them. We're playing them. Maybe, listen, who knows? Maybe we could learn a few things about Girona players tomorrow. Maybe we could see Girona, and they might have 1 or 2 absolute superstars that we could just bring over to the city in January or next summer. Who knows? It's going to be interesting. But yeah, not too much of a preview on that game from us, because like Joe said and I said, we have no fucking idea what to expect tomorrow, but we're just buzzing to see City again, aren't we? We're just absolutely delighted to see Manchester City wearing the blue, seeing Haaland, all that good stuff. I get a bit of an insight as to how some of the players are shaping up for the second half of the season, and that's it, really. Score predictions, 10-0. Jack Grealish is going to fly back from his holidays and score 10
He's
goals.
going to skydive. He's going to parachute in at half-time and score 10 in the second half. You know what? I won't put it past that happening. You're on the phone. Jack, listen. Get your ass down here right now. We need you.
Yeah, Jack's going to score 10 goals tomorrow.
Even when he's not traded, even when he's probably not in the country, he's still going to score in a City match. It don't matter where he is in the world. He could be dead. It don't matter.
Exactly, people. Jack is scoring tomorrow, whether he's in the country or not. But listen, it's been an enjoyable stream. I enjoyed the Saka talk. I enjoyed the Bellingham talk, Gvardiol, and the Alvarez one I wasn't expecting, but it was good conversation. The centre-back talk. Now it all comes down to tomorrow. The blockbuster City versus Girona in the Academy Stadium. Will we do a review on it? What day is tomorrow? Saturday. I'm flying out to London on Sunday morning for the Big Six watch-along, the first ever Big Six watch-along in studio. All 6 of us will be there to watch along the World Cup final, so I have an early flight Sunday morning. But yeah, we may do a watch or a review or another stream tomorrow night, so keep the notification bell turned on so you can see and you don't miss it if we go live. We're both going to watch the Girona game. No watch along, if anybody was thinking that. We may bring back watch alongs if there's something. If that's something you guys want to see, we could start doing watch alongs for some games again. Maybe we could do polls again, and you guys could decide what games we do watch alongs for. Bearing in mind, I go to quite a few of the games though. Plenty of things. We want you guys to get involved. We want you guys to have your say in what goes on this channel as much as possible. But yeah, we may go live tomorrow and have another loose chat, have another free flowing chat with you guys. So listen, on your way out, just do us the favor, or if you're watching on playback, if you haven't done so already, just smash the thumbs up button. I think we just hit 40 likes, which is pretty good for just a random stream like this. So smash the like button if you haven't done so, or you're watching on playback. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We're on the road to 5K. Share it around. Tell your friends to subscribe to the channel. We appreciate all of you for coming in, whether you support City or you support any other club, Arsenal, United, Liverpool. We appreciate you coming in and having your input, giving your thoughts. We love to get everybody's thoughts. This channel is for everybody, not just myself and Joe. So big love to all of you. Like I said, keep the bell turned on. We may be live tomorrow night. Myself and Joe will have a chat about that. Yeah, we'll see you for the next one. Wrap her up. Joey boy.
Listen to your heart. Tell me who you wanna be. We can always start